revisiting my dreams with the king.
Oh my. Step right, front back, left right, stay up, eyes up, rise up, stay right. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Pack your bags and let's go. Come on, jump on the train. Here's the cold word you know. Afro.
Lord, what a difference in a day could make. Now I see the beauty when I switch up my mindset. Examine your ways, he's showing me plays to make
Welcome to The Ride, a journey to your dreams. I'm your host, Johnny King III, aka Still Chill Leroy, and this is The Ride, Revisit Your Dreams. I am very, very, very excited today. This is an exclusive podcast. This is an exclusive release, actually. You notice all the other releases, if you watch the podcast, have been side by side, two people remotely in different areas. I've been in my studio and had guests, elsewhere. But this one is very special because my brother is right next to me. This brother is someone who I look up to, someone who's been a friend, a partner in even some challenging times in my life, and so I'm very happy to have this man here. I will introduce you to him by name in just a moment. I want to remind you, Revisit Your Dreams will air every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on the Revisit Your Dreams channel on YouTube.com. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Make sure you like this episode and make sure you share it with someone. I guarantee you my brother's going to drop some gems and some jewels on you that someone that you know can relate to and benefit from. The purpose of this podcast here at Revisit Your Dreams, we're here to motivate, to encourage, to inspire, to share knowledge and wisdom, to explore real-life testimonies of trial, error, and success, and maybe even provide a few laughs along the way. With that being said, let me introduce my special guest to you. Today's episode is called Sound Advice. Your life is worth the effort. My very special guest today is a profound artist and lyricist representing the body of Christ. He is CEO and proprietor of his very own label, Soldier Sound Records. He has professionally produced and released more than 10 studio albums and dozens of singles and EPs. He's an actor, performer, Grammy and Stellar Award nominee. He's also appeared as a feature on countless projects with other prominent artists and currently represents half of the dynamic hip-hop group Village KNG. He is prominently known for his production work for the gospel hip-hop group Grits. He's a husband and father of two, and just a straight up good dude.
Thank you, bro.
Originally from Duval.
Yes, sir.
My brother, MC, man of God, Pettidee. Pettidee. Welcome to the show,
man?
Petty.
Welcome
to the show, man.
Man, I love the intro, man. I love that, man. I love the introduction.
Man,
Thank you, bro.
I'm just happy to have you here, man.
Man, bro. Just to be in the same room, it's a big deal, bro.
The vibe. We're talking about a podcast interview, but this right here is a connection.
Oh, this go way back.
So what I like to do with guests is when I introduce them, I like to tell the audience about how I know that guest, how we met, how we're intertwined. Each person that I'm interviewing is someone who I know personally. I may have met them and interacted with them periodically on a short period of time, maybe through a social networking event. I might know them through some other social circles. I may have worked with them in the past. It may be family members or friends. This brother here is someone who I met years ago when I first moved back to Tennessee and was living in Laverne, Tennessee. friend of his, actually, we just talked about production with Grits and Tehran, one of the members of the Grits. I live right up the street from him, and through that interaction, meeting him is how I met Pettidee.
Yeah.
And since then, I've kind of been attracted to his music, been attracted to his production. We kind of linked up a little bit early on when I was still trying to bar up real hard, and you produced a track for me.
Yeah, and the boy go hard, man. The boy fire, man. Yeah.
I was trying to. We made a song for Madden. EA Sports Madden. So I that was my introduction to you from a production, from a working standpoint. You introduced me to Mumbles. Shout out Mumbles, man. He's a mix engineer extraordinaire. Yeah, for sure. But that's how we met. We met through mutual friends, and then just kept in contact over the years. And there was, even though our relationship was not a long time, like a lot of time, the short period of time that we spent together was all impactful moments.
Every time we get together, we just pick up where we left off. I noticed that it's just like, some people in your life for a reason, some people in your life for a season, some people in your life for a lifetime. And it's like, this is a lifetime friendship for me for reasons of every time we connect, there's not like some weird, awkward, we just pick up.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of times, especially when you get older and more mature, it's like, yo, this person, your circle gets smaller, but then when you connect with people, you're like, yo, okay, this is a lifetime friendship.
Yeah,
right here, so.
You're right. You realize some friendships fade after a while.
You get in the same room with them, and then you don't really even have. It's kind of weird.
It's not what it used to be.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
The season of that connection. Don't mean that it wasn't real,
exactly.
But that season has has timed itself out, and now that's just kind of like a comrade.
Yeah. But
when you pick up with people where you pick up and man, you just pick up where we left off. You know what I'm saying? You're like, bro, it's been over 10 years we've been in the same room. It's like, what? Don't feel like
it. Don't feel like it. But it has been. It's been that long. And even ministry wise, I remember part of our relationship was the men's ministry. We used to meet at that McDonald's on Emerson Pike.
Yeah.
Wow. Years ago. Dang. We did that several times. So just impactful moments, impactful times. Whether it was your crib, my crib, in the car, listening to music, vibing out. Yeah, and I'd rather have that over my lifetime, you know what I'm saying? Than something that's just that's not really meaningful at the time. Because we all fathers, and we all doing life. We protect our time. Like, our time is very valuable. So when you with somebody that is impactful on your time, you value it. Yes, absolutely. Like, we've been here for now. We just started recording this, but we've been vibing in here for almost 2 hours. Yeah, real. We was really supposed to start recording as soon as we got here. Listening to music, talking music, everything. Shit, man. That's what the catch up is. That's right. The catch up is all of that. Man, I'm glad to have you here, man. Let's go ahead and get into the show, man, because the whole purpose of this is to inspire people that are watching, and your story, your life testimony, your career path, and currently what you got going on now, I think is very admirable. It's something that is people can relate to your life story. People can relate. I know it, but we're gonna be explaining it to them. Absolutely. But people can relate to your life story because it's full of overcoming mental health, overcoming depression, and just going for who you are, sticking to who you are, and I think there's a lot of power in that. So he's going to be sharing these gems with you through the answers of these questions. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. But talk to us for a minute to let them know a little bit more about you. Talk to us a little minute about growing up in Tallahassee, Florida. What was growing up in Tallahassee like for Pettidee? Yeah, well, I always rep Duval, Jacksonville, but that's Duval. But my family always give me a hard time because they're like, you was born in Tallahassee. So
But I lived in Tallahassee till I was about 14. But I spent the majority of my adult life in Jacksonville, Florida. So when I came up in Tallahassee, I have two older sisters, and my mom was in an abusive marriage, and it just was really rough. We talked about it off camera earlier. I was just from the trauma of that. I couldn't focus in school. I failed the third grade and the sixth grade, and it's kind of the older kid. Even though I was a small kid, so you couldn't really tell that I was that age. And then I was getting in a lot of trouble. And my mom, she finally got away from that marriage, got away from that relationship. We moved to Georgia, and I really started getting in a lot of trouble. With no male figure. The male figure I had in the house was abusive. You know what I'm saying? And then my dad was living in Jacksonville, so I would only see him during the summertime. We moved to Georgia, and I was just getting a lot of trouble. Of course, it was the peak of the crack epidemic and getting in trouble. And so she just, decided to send me to my dad. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of the classic, like Boys in the Hood. You know what I'm saying?
I can't do nothing else with you now.
But I can't do nothing with you, and I can't lose you to these streets.
Yeah.
But when I came to my dad, I came to him because I was always mature for my age, and everything that I had already been through caused me to grow up fast. So I was just as a child, I was abused, physically abused, and then sexually abused at 9 years old by an older family member, outside family member, and it made me I hated like bullies.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And for a long time, it was hard for me to take any kind of authoritative, from older men or adults, which a lot of kids go through that. And by the time I came to my dad, I had to have been through all that, the streets. And so we bumped heads a lot because it was just like, okay, well, we kind of had a roommate relationship because I came to him and he didn't request for me to, come. He's like, hey, you gonna have to take him because he gonna lose him to these streets. And he did what he could. He was a good dad. But he's trying to figure out because he's single. You know what I'm saying, and doing his thing. So I think my saving grace was when hip hop came in. I always tell people that hip hop saved my life, but Jesus saved my soul. Okay. And so in my hood, it was a shout out to, I call him Uncle Jerry. It was a guy named Jerry West. He had a record store. Well, he still has it. 40 years later, DJ's Records. And it was walking distance. That was back in the day when the record stores, you had the record stores like in the hood. And I would spend, when hip hop came out, and we watched like The Box and watch all these shows and Run DMC, and it was just like, man, I just became enamored with hip hop. And when I would go to the record store, and I would spend hours in the record store, and I called him Uncle Jerry, and he's the owner. He was like, boy, you spend so much time in here, you keep on coming in here, but I'm gonna put you to work. And he eventually it was little things like he would say, I'm going to the store, watch the store, and then somebody would, hip hop was taking off, and he would be like, I don't know nothing about that, ask D. And I was that guy. I became, it was 13, 14 years old. I was the hip hop guy in the record store. And it kept me out of trouble. And it's just like, it really, I became a student. I began to learn, when they were back in the day, the artists would come through and do CD signings and stuff. And then back in the day also where, the records were, the record labels and the representatives from the labels, when they come in, they want their new music playing. And so it was like, hey, we'll give you this, we'll give you T-shirts, we'll this, and I built relationships in the mainstream, like through those years of working at the record store. So if I wasn't on the streets, I was in the record store.
Man, so as your childhood, you're an artist now, recording artist, producer, you're still in the industry, but your first introduction to music wasn't you playing instruments or you performing in school. It was you working
it was the industry. It literally was before I became a rapper.
Yeah.
It literally was the balance of the industry side of it and just the music. Like I had a job where I did get to listen to music every day
and help promote it.
and
Help promote it at a time where it's growing. Hip hop is growing.
Yes.
Man, that's dope to be that young working in a record store at a time when hip hop's coming. I remember just being in college, going to like Blockbuster Music and just putting on the headphones and not sampling, but listening to songs before I could buy
CDs and buy. You could just listen to it.
Yeah, but you had your own. That record store had their own personal guide.
Man, bro, and I loved it. Yeah. I loved it.
So you have a knowledge base of hip hop from a perspective of like you didn't just see it. You lived it, breathed it, talked it.
Yeah, I know those little nuances that people who were there go, oh yeah, that did happen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember when Luke Records was Luke Skywalker Records.
Yes.
I remember when he had H-Town.
Yeah.
I remember when they came to the store to promote their records.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I remember, they had before everybody started rapping the vehicles, they used to airbrush them.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I remember
ball
that.
Paint.
The bowling ball paint and the marketing promoter saying, hey, you want tickets to the show tonight. Mm-hmm. Being able to be backstage, being able to see the artist, being able to see it from a 360-degree angle of the industry.
So way before we was dealing with the technology, you like grassroots, groundwork type. Yeah.
And then even people, as I got older, I would revisit relationships and say, hey, I remember when I used to promote your record and such and such, and their eyes get big. Like, yo, you go back, you know what I'm saying, before I blew up type thing.
Especially when you bring out, the label was called Luke Skywalker Records.
And then it went to Luke Records, and then, I remember.
You do go back.
Yeah, y'all had this person, and y'all gave me the pass, and this, you know what I'm saying? And I was able to reestablish a lot of those relationships. Yeah. And then, but during that time, like I said, man, a lot of my homeboys was in the dope game, and I couldn't spend forever in a record store. Yeah. So I would be back in the street. So it was my life was at an extreme. 14, 15, 16 years old. It was like those couple of years was like very extreme.
You had the challenging parts of life where you out trying to survive and hustle.
Yeah, because I was in the hood.
But then you had the 14, 15-year-old like, I see things for myself I want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then my dad owned his own business, doing like, it was lawn business, lawn care business. And then so for me, I got to see, I used to always say, I ain't cutting no people's yards and stuff like that. Like, I'm going to do this. Like, you come home and it's like, I got $20, $30. You know what I'm saying? My homeboys got $1,000. Hey, man, this is what I did today. Yeah. Man, that's all you got dirty and stank for that, bro. Right. You need to come out here with us.
Let me show you this.
Yeah. And then it was like, it was extremes because I got $20 or $30, doing lawn care, but then they was in the hood putting their life on the line, but they had thousands of dollars in their pocket. But I just came from somewhere where I see $1 million homes. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So it was. I was trying to,
as the dichotomy and all of that.
I was trying to put the life, like, how do I manage this? Because most people, even back then, some of my homeboys died and we lived in Jacksonville and they had never been to the beach. Yeah. So I think the beautiful thing was that I give my dad credit for, and I give having a father in my life was I was able to see, and then Uncle Jerry from DJ's Record was like a father figure. Mm-hmm. To see that balance, because they provided a balance for me that the rest of my homeboys didn't have. Yeah. I was able to see the balance of the music industry. I was able to see the balance of entrepreneurship from my dad, and then seeing those $1 million homes, but then also see what my homeboys was going through.
So now you a teen, but you have options. First, you coming up, your options were limited. Mm-hmm. Your mom moves you into a situation where, now you are exposed to more options. Mm-hmm. That aren't just limited to the streets.
Yes.
And that's a good point to be at for somebody like you who was creative, who at that point when you're in the record store started, your eyes are opening and you're being attracted to something that's new, that feels good. Yeah. Do you know at this time that you going to be a rapper? You have any idea about rapping at this time, or was this just something you were fascinated by?
It's crazy because I think for me, now that I'm older and I'm doing music and songs that I didn't know that I know the intros and I'm listening to old songs and I'm beatboxing them and I'm like, yo, I was a producer before I was a producer. Like I was really in love with this music before I really realized that I wanted to be a producer. And then I started out as a beatboxer. You know, all the little crews had the MC and then the person that hit the beat.
Yeah.
And I was him.
Yeah.
You know, hit the beat in school. But then I noticed all the rappers got the girls. The beatbox ain't getting the girls. I wasn't no DJ. But they used to be like, yo, where our beatbox? Where D at? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Man, rock that beat. And then I started either rocking the beat, beatboxing, or beating on the table. But then I ain't getting no girls. So I went home and I told my mom, I said, Mom, I'm gonna go home. I was mad. I went home. I said, Mom, I'm gonna write me a rap today because the rappers get all the girls. And she just bust out laughing. She said, go write you a rap, baby.
So when did that happen? At what age was it that you wrote your first rap? And then you just talked about why, like
to get the girls.
To getting the girls. So that's the reason you wrote it. So now what age were you, and what was that first rap about?
I think I was because everything was a braggadocious. Well, my name is Pettidee. I'm on the MIC. Rocking this thing so easily, you know, that type of stuff. But then gangster rap was, you know, trying to, because it was like this was before NWA. It was like Ice-T and Schoolie D. A lot of people, as soon as they say gangster rap, they think about NWA. You know, NWA is what really like
took off, right?
But there was, people don't know this, but there was like New York gangster rap.
Yeah.
There was New York gangster, Trigger Man. You know what I'm saying? Dun, 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 dun. You know what I'm saying? That whole song was about the mafia type. You know, him going, butts can't get filthy, Trigger Man.
Yeah.
That was,
yes, sir.
I forgot the name of the group, but you had that, you had Ice-T, you had Schoolie D. You know what I'm saying? So and then we living in the era where dudes is like shooting and stuff like that. So my first rap kind of had that. It was like a little bit of the New York style mixed with kind of hood. And then I got to the point where I was rapping the same people. Was like, oh, D can rap, man. Yeah. And then, you know, it was during that time where people was going by their, like, you know, you had Ice-T, Schoolie D, you know what I'm saying, Donald D, you had these different rappers. So I remember in school, they used to give out the SAT test. And it was the last name first and your first initial last. Yeah. And so when I got mine, it said Pettidee. So my name is Dwayne Petty.
Okay.
So it was my last name first and my first initial last. And I was like, man, that's my rap name. It's going to be Pettidee.
Dope.
Yeah.
Dope. Yeah. So that, and I was going to ask you that, like, how did you come up with that? I know your last name is Petty, and I know it's your first name is Dwayne.
Yeah.
But I never really put two and two together that
it was Pettidee.
Your first name.
When she gave me the SAT test, I was already there, wrote my first rap, and didn't have a name yet. Yeah. And I saw that, and it said Petty and the comma D. And I was like, yeah,
got a name for it. Pettidee,
now,
2 E. So what about that? Because
at first it was Petty.
Right. Yeah.
D.
Yeah.
But then everybody started
Pettydee.
Yeah. Well, Petty was my last name. How you spell it?
Yeah.
And then just the D. Because remember in the 80s it was, you know.
I got it. Yeah. Schoolie D, Schoolie Pettidee. Yeah. Ice-T,
Schoolie D, such a C. You know what I'm saying? But when that you know, working at a record store, I could see that was kind of starting to fade out. Like the person putting the name.
The initial like that, yeah.
So I said, but I want to keep Pettidee. But then being in school, being in junior high school at the time, you know, they were doing that, you know, the elementary, it was like elementary, junior high school, when you change the Y to an I.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, when you change the Y to I.
The rules, the vowel rules and all of that, yeah.
So I was like, if I change the Y to the I, and then put an extra E, 2 E's at the end, it could be one name.
Yes.
And that's how I changed it. Because, you know, Ice Cube, you know what I'm saying? I just changed the Pettidee to one name. Pettidee.
So it's Pettidee. And you no matter how you say it,
it's still
no matter how you read it, it's still your
Pettidee.
name.
It's still my name, yeah.
It's still your name on top of the SAT test.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, man. So, all right, years ago, we're gonna talk a little about bring a little bit more current. We got a little bit more of your past.
Yeah.
Years ago, this is talking about more about our friendship.
Mm-hmm.
I came to him and I asked him about ghostwriting some
Mm-hmm.
songs, and I don't know if you remember this.
Yeah,
Okay,
I do.
So, and you know, I was earnest about it because I was a writer who was looking to do more than I could personally do. You know, because I was writing a lot, but I didn't have opportunities to record a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm looking to get my work with somebody who does have opportunities to record a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, and I only said that for the audience. I came to you about ghostwriting and for other artists, and you said to me that you couldn't speak for other artists, but as it related to you, that your work, what you did, is it is a ministry.
Yeah.
In other words, you were telling me, I appreciate you coming to me with that, and there may be other people who, you know, that type of exchange might work for, but for what I do, with all due respect, it's me and it's downloaded from a higher power. So I can't just take words off somebody else
paper and put
use
the energy.
them. Yeah. So when did you discover that, you know, gospel hip hop, the form of music that you do, when did you discover that as an art form, and what compelled you to commit to that art form? You know, you talked about gangster rap, Schooling D, you know, NWA, coming up in the streets as a young teen, being introduced to all this music that at that time there weren't even very many Christian or gospel hip hop rappers out at all. So I know that wasn't the music you were listening to.
No.
So at what point did you commit to gospel rap?
Well, I think what happened was just going back a little bit, and you know, I come from that era, especially watching the artists, was that this is me, this is who I am, this is what I have to say. I come from it from a spiritual side and a kind of music business side. Like the ghostwriting wasn't a thing, you know what I'm saying, from my era as far as hey, let me write this song for somebody and then they rap it or whatever. The only time you kind of heard about that is if somebody had a dope female MC that was really nice with her delivery, but y'all help her put her words together, this is that other.
That's real. He's spitting real hip hop history right now.
Yeah. And then if somebody, and then it was a no-no. So if somebody found out that you was battling and you would ghostwrite and you don't even write your own rhymes type thing,
exactly.
It was a big no-no. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, even to this day, people still kind of frown on it a little bit. But in the 80s and early 90s, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, that was, you don't write.
That was the definition of whack back then.
Yeah, so I came up, and even as a producer, I remember when I started producing, the owner, when I got my first deal, the owner of the label, there was a lot of, in the 90s, like, a lot of people was getting sued. Like, they was getting their pants sued off. Because a lot of the artists was, you know, in the 80s, you could get away with it. Sampling. In the 90s, you know, and it was a lot of those artists from back in the day, they were in financial ruin, you know, like going through stuff, and people are making millions of dollars off their samples, and that whole thing blew up. So the owner of the label was like, shout out to Mo Henderson, he was like, do not sample. Everything was, does it have samples in it? He just beat me over my head with no sampling whatsoever. And so it was no sampling and no ghostwriting. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Those was like
not doing
hip hop no-nos, you know what I'm saying? And so from that part, it was like, I don't know what to say or how to express these words from somebody else. And even to this day, I admire writers who are able to do that, not knowing what I know now is that they actually wrote it as if it was one of their songs. And then that person came in, and, you know what I'm saying? Or the ones that are extremely talented, they can kind of take on the mindset. And Jay-Z's a huge ghostwriter. A lot of people don't know that. He wrote Still Dre.
Oh, did I didn't know that.
It's the irony of the most iconic West Coast song.
Yes.
With Snoop and Dre on it, was written by one of the most iconic New York rappers.
Yeah.
But he was able to, because he always, I heard a seen an interview, he's like, I'm glad that nobody could actually find that reference track. Because in his mind, he wrote it and pretend like he was Dre and Snoop on it. So he could keep their essence of it. You know what I'm saying? And I admire that. And that's a talent within itself. So for me to do that, because I came into it, because even in the music and even in the streets, I wasn't a outgoing, like music allowed me to express myself. Other than that, I kind of created this coin. I always call myself an introverted extrovert because I got 2 older sisters, and for the most part, in all those times being with my dad and all that, and if I went with my homeboys, I would spend a lot of time by myself. It's kind of probably as a teenager, probably a lot of unnaturally time that a child should be alone.
Yeah, just mentally.
Right. Yeah. So music really gave me that, and I went able to vocalize myself. So it was my voice to be able to express myself. There was a lady that lived 2 houses down from me, and she used to see me on the streets with my homeboys and stuff. And back then, it still was a lot of respect for the church, a lot of respect for church people. And she used to always come on the block and she said, son, I know what you're doing out here, but I'm not going to judge you. She said, God's got the calling on your life. And back then, it was just like, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Like the church lady.
Yeah.
Shout out Lisa Jackson, sister Lisa Jackson, and just respect her. And she said, you're going to win many people to Jesus. God got a calling on your life. And I'm like, this lady crazy, bro. Yeah. But I ain't going to disrespect her because she, you know what I'm saying? She represent God.
Yeah.
And I remember one day she would always catch me like off guard, like, and she said, young man, when you going to go to church with me? When you going to go to church with me? And I said, I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go with you. When you go again? She said, I go Wednesday. I think it was either Wednesday or Thursday. And she came and knocked on the door. And during this time, my mom was really sick at the time. My sister had just went to prison. My homeboy, my rap partner, had just went to prison. Like it was like the streets was like closing in on me. Yeah. I actually tried to commit. I was just so everything was just happening because I couldn't be at the record store all the time. The streets was trying to pull me there. Yeah. And I was just like, I was during that time when TVN blew up. Mm-hmm. And even though I was doing all this stuff in the streets at a young age, I still used to watch TVN. And I used to always tell the Lord, I used to be like, they'd be like, pray. And I'd be like, God, if you real, show me you real. I used to always say that. Mm-hmm. And I never forgot that day that she was knocking on my door. And she was like, and she kept knocking at the door. But I forgot I told her I was going to church with her. I was probably about lying.
Yeah, yeah.
And I never forget. People say people who are not saved don't hear the voice of God. I don't believe that because I feel like I heard the voice of God that day. And the Lord said,
in order to get saved.
Exactly. He said, the Lord said to me, you always say, if I'm real, show me you real. He said, don't you realize I use people? I speak through people. Mm-hmm. And this lady was knocking at your door, and you have to let me into your life. You have to let me into your heart. By not opening the door, you rejected her. By rejecting her, you rejected me. Mm-hmm. And that whole week, I couldn't live with it, man. Yeah. And
you didn't open the door?
I didn't open the door.
But it
sat with me. And that Sunday, I got up, got dressed. I didn't know what time she went to church. I went up, knocked on her door. She came to the door, wide eyed, like, I said, I don't know what time you go to church, but I'm ready. Yeah. And then I started going to church. And then I heard a rap group. I didn't know it was such thing as gospel.
At the church, when you went to the church?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They actually had a thing. I started going to the church, and then I used to always talk to the Lord and say, God, I don't need just a Sunday God. If you're going to be in my life, I'm going to be in your life, Lord. I need a 24-hour God because I got some 24-hour problems. Yeah. And then I started hanging out with people at the church. And then they had a thing at a skating ring. You know, back then it was skating. Yeah. They had a skate night. The church had a skate night. And they was playing rap. And I was like, man, I thought these people were saved, man. They playing rap music. So I went to the DJ booth and I asked one of the guys, like, what's this? He said it was a group out of the West Coast called SFC, Soldiers for Christ. Yeah. And it was banging. And then I couldn't find it in the mainstream stores. I couldn't find it at DJs. So I was like, where do you buy this music? They were actually selling the music at Christian bookstore.
Yes. Yeah.
So when I went to the Christian bookstore, they had music in the
Everything.
bookstore.
Yeah,
I was like, yo. So I ended up doing the exact same thing that I did in the record store in the Christian bookstore.
Okay.
And that's how I got turned on to Christian hip hop and rap, and I spent hours in there learning the word, learning the Bible. You know what I'm saying? And I would play that tape until the tape pop.
Yeah.
And I would try to fix the tape.
Yeah.
And I would play it some more until tape pop. Then when CDs came out, it was a rap. And I remember listening to that music, and when I listened to it, it changed my life. And then when I would go to church, he would, one of the rappers, Suit, he would be quoting scripture. And then I would grab my Bible and go to see what the scripture said. Mm-hmm. Then when I would go to church, I knew that scripture from a rap record. Yeah. And I was like, that's what I want to do.
That's powerful because you realized it was helping you. You could help somebody else.
I want to do that for the rest of my life.
Wow.
I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to rap for God. And I remember, I was a mainstream rapper. Yeah. And everybody in my city was starting to kind of blow up. Mm-hmm. 69 Boys, 95 South, Whoop, there it is. Yeah. Those my homeboys. Okay, yeah. You see what I'm saying? And, with like 2 Live Crew, and, I'm in these relationships. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? So, I remember going to the studio and saying, I'm going to rap for God now. And they looked at me and just bust out laughing. It was like, yo, you gonna rap for Jesus, bro? Like, I'm like, is that a thing? Is it even real?
Right.
And I was like,
who does that?
Yeah. And all I knew at the time was, these boys out on the West Coast, they rap for Jesus and they stuff hood and it's real and that's when it became a message. And I remember back in the day, they used to give out tracks. Remember the little tracks? Mm-hmm. I used to call them little Christian little cartoon books.
Pamphlets,
yeah. And they used to pass them out, and I used to call them Christian cartoon books. Yes. Yeah. And I had made up my mind I wasn't planning on putting the music out or nothing. I was gonna rap my testimony and pass it out in the hood, and that's what I did. And I started, and I remember I had a rhyme book. Remember everybody had the rhyme book, your composition book. Mm-hmm. And I remember the Lord telling me, I was trying, I was baby Christian, so I was trying to negotiate with God. God, can't I just clean up some of these raps? There's a lot of raps in here. Yeah. The Lord said, throw that book away. If you throw it away and start over for me, you'll never look back. Wow. Yeah. And I started rapping my testimony, and then they thought it was funny. Mm-hmm. So what I would do is I would do my sessions at midnight to where everybody gone, because I was determined to give my testimony from music and give it out in the hood. And that's when it became that was before any record deals, anything. And it's just always. You was just trying to spread the message at that point because of something you felt compelled to do. And no matter what I've done, whether it's been TV and film or whether it's been all that, I've always made sure to keep that part of it. And that's where I just gave you the whole long gambit of it. But that's why it's different to me as far as the message. Exactly. And then utilizing that. And then remember going to one of my homeboys, so he was a big dope boy in the hood. And I remember giving him my album. My first album came out in 1999. And because I had all the mainstream relationships and I was able to do a lot of crossover stuff. Mm-hmm. And he was like, D, I've been looking for you. He was like, bro, you gave me that album. And he was like, he said, I took my daughter to school. He said, when you gave it to me back in the day, we had the CD changes. Mm-hmm. He had the 215s and had the CD changer in the back and all that. He said, I put that in my CD changer, man. And he said, I took my daughter. I usually take my music out because it got cussing in it, got profanity in it. He said, man, she really liked your album. And he was like, that's my homeboy. And then he said, he dropped off at school. He said he took his mom to the grocery store that day. Mm-hmm. She was like, you don't play that stuff. She said, he said, that's my homeboy D. And I had a sinner's prayer. I had a prayer on that. And she was like, he rapping about God? And then she was like, yeah. And then he said she prayed the prayer on the CD. And he said that night, because he had a just dope convertible. Yeah. And he said that night, him and his homeboys went to the club. And they was like, yo, I've been playing this all D. You know D? Yeah, man, he rap for God now. And he's playing it. He said, man, it's the first album I've ever had where I can ride to it. I can ride to it with my daughter in the car. I can ride to it with my mama in the car and my homeboy.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't know much about gospel rap, but he said, what you doing, man, is special.
Yeah. Powerful.
Yeah.
Really, it definitely is because, especially coming up where you came up from, the type of music that's being played.
Yeah.
You know, if you're familiar with hip hop, you know, and during that time, you know, Florida music, Southern, you know, heavy bass, a lot of, you know, good vibes, but you know, a lot of good energy, but not always in the right direction.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? If you know, not to call anybody particular music out,
Right.
but you know, if you grew up in the '90s coming up with hip hop, you know what kind of music was coming out of Miami and was coming out of Florida.
And then I had to create my own sound too, because it was like the guys that I was listening to was from the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I loved that music,
which was gangster,
which was gangster rap, and the beats are different.
Yeah.
And then for me, I'm from Florida, but what I want to say, I can't say it. I don't feel like I can say it over fast Miami beats.
Yeah.
So then when Outkast and Goody Mob came out, 94, 95, there was a conscious street Southern rap. There was, okay, this is how I can say what I need to say. They kind of gave the template. So it was like the Dungeon Family, Outkast, Goody Mob. Theirs wasn't the Georgia, you know, there was like this Georgia sound. It was like a Southern soul sound.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it was like, I utilized them as a template for what, this is how I want to say what I want to say without biting anybody's style. Because, you know, that was a no-no too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Biting the style, biting the style is a no-no too. So just, I didn't know that I was creating something during that time. You know what I'm saying? And then, but I still love the Memphis rap too. Yeah. Because Memphis sound was, and the 3-6 sound was like, you know, Florida sound kind of slowed down.
Exactly.
Had that bounce to it. You like, oh man.
Memphis.
Revs of Memphis kind of, you know what I'm saying? So it was trying to figure out how to pull something to create something new. And when we did that in 1999, the album came out. It was revolutionary.
Man, you did. I'm hearing you tell it now, and even though we have a history in the past, I haven't heard a lot of this deep past. Yeah. You know, so some of this is I'm hearing it for the first time. Yeah. And I'm really feeling like it's all making sense.
Yeah.
Like,
the other parts of the puzzle.
It's putting the pieces together. Like I hear your sound. I've heard your albums. I've intertwined with you in close quarters and even work with you to some degree, but you know, hearing you tell me now, it makes sense how your sound developed, how your style developed, the messaging, the intent behind it, the intensity behind it. You know, when you got those, you know, when you were in the church and said, "I want to do this," that soon as you said that, that explained to me why you didn't want to ride with my ghostwriting. And I don't know disrespect, but I understood. I totally understand because it was mission based. This ain't just an art form. This is not just something to do. This ain't just expression. This is I'm trying to save people's life. I'm trying to help people. And even if you're trying to help people, it ain't the way that I'm trying to help people. You know, because you knew who you trying to help. You trying to help people from where you came from. You can't take my lyrics and make it work for people to help people that where you came from, because I didn't come from there. So I'm not writing with that intent. And so it's coming full circle. Like, you know, you really make a lot of sense when it comes to that and to your ministry. And I respect it. You were nominated for a Grammy and a Stellar Award for your work with Grits. If you don't know, he's done a lot of production work with the gospel group Grits, hip hop group Grits, and your work with the artist RYD. Talk about your relationship with Grits and your time spent with them as far as music goes, and then talk about some of the dopest work that you like, some beats that you made for them, the songs that you did with them that you like the most.
Every time the name Grits come up, I just smile, because every artist that's had, you know, done anything significant, they always have that moment where things changed for them.
Yeah.
I did a song called Minister, and it wasn't my personal experience, but it was an experience of, I was doing a lot of prison ministry, and I used to always ask the prisoners, like, what would you want to say to the dudes out there? Because I was always hear some of the guys say, now I'm in here and I'm locked up, and now I can't get the message out there.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, when you get back out there on the streets, tell the young boys this, that, and that. And I said, you know what? I'm going to write a song from that perspective. And the song was called Minister, and then that's what got me into storytelling, because that got me into, and then even with Goody Mob, huge Goody Mob fan, and how they're able to express themselves and then express it in a storytelling way, and still be unique to what you're trying to do. And I wrote the song Minister, but I produced the beat. When I produced the beat, Teron from Grits was like, yo, I love that beat. And it was like, we're working on our next album. I know you already dropped it, but I love it so much. Can we use the beat?
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, you crazy. Yeah, bro. Like,
yeah. How did now?
We from the same. Okay, go back.
Catch us. We gonna get back here. But catch us to how you met.
He and I are from the same city.
Okay.
So he was in a group called the Jesus Jamsters.
Okay.
In the 80s.
Okay. You're laughing at me.
He ran the Jesus Jamsters in the 80s. So
shout out Jesus Jamsters.
Yeah, and from
the 80s.
Yeah, and so we from the same city, and he moved to Nashville. His Teron story is a little similar to mine as far as getting in trouble and things, and then turning his life around. And then he decided to move to Nashville and pursue. And he was a dancer for a major group. Everybody know DC Talk in the Christian. And you can Google them if you ever heard of a group called DC Talk. Yeah. One of the guys, Toby Mac, started his own label. He wanted a diverse label with rap, R&B, singing, and rock and everything. Goatee Records. But he didn't want it to be a rap label. He wanted it to be a diverse label. And of course, it's kind of like Tupac. Tupac was a roadie that got his opportunity to do a verse on same song, and then it kind of took off from there. Yeah. Same thing with Teron and Stacey Coffee. They were dancers, but they were also writers, and they were writing, and they got their opportunity to drop music on Goatee Records. Okay. And it just took off for them. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They were just doing big things. And then their story don't get told a lot, but they were the first gospel rap group to tour with Outkast, tour with Goody Mob. They were on Double XL. They were doing big things. Yeah. So we was championing them on. So for him to say, yo, I want to use one of your songs, like what? Now, I also got to give him this props. When Dr. Dre came out with The Chronic, he had a drum machine on the back. It was the MPC 2000, MPC 60, I think. And when I got mine, Teron was the only person that I knew that had one. And I was like, I'm going to buy one. I remember I had the pamphlet on my wall. And I used to touch the wall and pray over it. I'm going to get this one day because Dr. Dre got one. And I'm going to get me one. Yeah. And Teron was the first person I ever met that had one. And I would call. He was living here in Nashville at the time. And I was still living in Florida. And he would take my calls 2 or 3 times a day to learn his drum machine. So he really sold into me to that. And so for him to say he wanted to use one of my beats, that's when you record it on a disc. Yeah. So that kind of let you know how it's gonna go.
The little square, the
little zip, it was a little floppy disk.
Yeah, little floppy disk.
I said, bro, just come by. They was here. They was in Jacksonville recording, and I said, just come by and get the whole disc, so you can just put it in yours. It took off. The song took off, and then I began to produce stuff for them, long distance.
What song was that? The first song that you produced?
It was a song, "Where Are You Going?"
Okay.
And it was on one of their records, and they basically used the song Minister and built a whole new beat around it. Okay. And it was like had a sample in it. Then they had somebody else singing on it, "Where Are You Going?" And it was just like banging. I was
Yeah.
like, yo, they took it to another level. Then I started producing for them a little bit, but that was in the 2000s where it was all about the big name producers.
Yeah.
You know, that was when it was Pharrell and
Scott
you know Tim and
Storch,
Scott Storch.
yeah.
So even their label was like, well, who is he? They didn't want a no name producer on their albums. They was doing big things.
Goatee was that?
Goatee was doing
about
big
you?
things, and it was like, yo, Goatee was like, yo, we
who
don't
was
know
Pettidee?
who's Pettidee. We've never heard of him. He's not a big producer. And Teron didn't care. He still put me on. He was like, yo, we're still gonna record your stuff. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
And then when they were recording to it, they were like, yo, we like this song and this song and this song. And they were like, Teron was like, yeah, this the dude y'all told us not to work with.
Yeah.
They was like, yo, we love this guy. Like, bring him up here. So I went up and did a meeting with them. And then during that time, my wife and I were both of us from Florida. And we had feel like my career as an artist had kind of topped out just in Florida. And we had already been thinking about and praying about making that move. And Teron, after that meeting, Teron was like, yo, everything you're doing, everything that's blowing for you, man, to take it off for you is up here in Nashville. Why don't you just move to Nashville? And we made that move. And when we made that move, that's when they were recording the Dichotomy.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Dichotomy and
A and B.
A and B.
Yeah. That was is that where Hidden Curves was on that album?
Hidden Curve. Yeah.
That was my
So I record like a track on that album, and then I recorded like 2 albums, and I was just like producing for him. So I record like 3 or 4 songs from him for that album, and then we started going on tour, and I was their hype man.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this was
now by this time I was Pettidee.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I had 3 albums out, and then when I moved, I had a 3-album deal. And I remember when we moved, I was like, my deal is up. It would be a smooth transition to make that move. We started on the Thug Love album, me and Mumbles. And then I was like, I'm moving. Mumbles came to me, my engineer, and by that time that was a Christian label called Shabak Entertainment. I had a 3-album deal. He said the Lord spoke to him and told him to move with me and serve me, and whatever I need to do to come with me. Wow. And he made the move to Nashville with me, and we started on the Thug Love album. Now, a lot of people that know anything about Pettidee, Thug Love is probably my biggest album to date because of all the TV and film placements on it, and we got to deal with Sony and all that. But what they don't know is that album started in faith. We moved to Nashville, and I got a 3-bedroom apartment, and my kids are in their 20s now, but you know they were 4 and 5 when I moved up, so they're still sharing a room. Jay Mumbles was staying in the room/studio. Yeah. And just in faith, we just started recording songs for the Thug Love album, and then I went on the tour with Grits. And when I was done with the Thug Love album, my wife and I were on a wedding anniversary date. 2 of the guys that used to be on Goatee had branched off and started their own label, got distribution with Sony, but didn't have any artists. Okay. And they was
what was the name of that label?
Beatmark Entertainment.
Okay, Beatmark.
And long story short, they were like, "Yo, we got a major distribution deal, but no artists." I was like, "I got an album that I just finished and no distribution deal." So it's like a match. Yeah, it was a match. And what I did was I did a partnership deal. It was kind of like Def Jam and Rockefeller. Rockefeller. You know how Rockefeller and Rough Riders and all them, they were all on Def Jam. Yeah. So it was a partnership deal. Yeah. And then that album took off. I went on the road with Grits, was producing for them. Our Thug Love album came out. It took off. Yeah. 2005.
That was a hard record.
Yeah.
Hot album. I like all your music. Have heard every album, but Thug Love, man, Ice Whites.
Yeah,
that's one with Ice Whites on there, right?
That's the one with Ice Whites. Yeah. This is what people don't. When I was recording that album, I literally told Jay, I'm gonna pretend and imagine that we have a major deal, and I'm gonna record we're gonna do this whole album as if I got a major deal. Yeah. We didn't have no deal. We just was recording the album, titled it, photo shoot, the whole 9. Like literally.
So it was ready. When that opportunity arose, you already had it ready. How does they say it? When the preparation and opportunity meet, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I was already ready. Yeah.
And they were like, they seen the photo shoot, they seen the records, they had it mixed and mastered, and they were like, yo, there's nothing for us to do except drop this.
Yeah.
And that's when I was able to negotiate a partnership. And that's when I started Soldier Sound Records.
Yeah, man. If you're an artist out there, if you're listening for the artist part of it, keep doing what you do. Keep recording, keep producing, keep mixing, keep packaging things.
Yes.
Even if you don't have a record deal, even if you don't have a distribution deal, even if you don't have a way to get your music out right now, because the power in that testimony is his biggest record was one that he produced and created without even having an idea of how he's going to get it out.
I was going to get it out.
You know,
it was in faith,
and it's all a faith move. So I just want y'all to know that.
Now, on the faith tip is that I did it in faith, knowing that I was going to kind of like the story of Jesus and Peter. You know what I'm saying? Like step out, have faith and step out and believe that I'm doing something great, not even knowing what the outcome is going to be. And then from the street side is be ready so you ain't got to get ready.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then when Grits I got my Grammy nomination for producing for Grits when was nominated for Gospel Album of the Year. And I produced on that album. And then with iRock, we actually won a Stellar Award.
Okay, you won it.
Yeah, we won the Stellar Award for that album and for that single. Then I got nominated when I did my second Sony album. I had an album called Resurrections, and that was the one with not the Ghetto. Dang, I got a lot of albums out.
Got a lot.
I'm a Vet.
I'm a Vet.
So we actually got nominated. So we got nominations, two Stellar nominations, a Stellar Award. Won a Stellar Award, nominated for a Stellar Award, nominated for a Grammy. And then the Thug Love album, the whole time the Thug Love album was out. Then there was a guy that, shout out Tyler Bacon in Position Music. He lived in Nashville and then he moved to LA. He took a whole bunch of my songs with him and they just started getting them placed. Now, granted, I did that album in faith. That album has no music videos. Financially, I wasn't able to do any marketing and promotion for that album because I just started the label, just had major distribution.
Yeah.
And then so mixed with the major distribution and the TV and film placements, it just took off. So here I am, Pettidee, jumping around on stage with Grits, being their hype man and serving them. And then the very next year, I'm co-headlining this tour with them with this Thug Love album. But this is the crazy part. I was able to bring my homeboys and my crew on, but then I was able to show them how to serve because Grits eyes was big because I was so used to being their hype man on set, on their stage. I would actually be on tour with them co-headlining. I would do their whole set as their hype man
because you was used to doing it.
Come back as Pettidee, and do my album. And do my music, or do my music, opening up for them, co-headline, because then we would have artists open up for us. Then it was a co-headlining tour where it's Pettidee and Grits. So my guys would literally sit on the sidelines and watch me
do the whole show. You on stage the whole show.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, and just the power of serving and the power, and I'm forever loyal to them brothers for that. And so that Grammy nomination and the TV and film placements was doors open to do many other things.
It's reach one, teach one too, because what I'm hearing is all types of full circle moments. From how you got started in gospel rap to getting in touch with the Grits and starting to produce with them, to your work with the label, getting your own distribution deal, already having Thug Love prepared, and then
a lot of my mainstream relationships came full circle too. Because these were the same guys that were like, yo, I laughed at you when you was saying you was going to do gospel rap. Now it's really taking off for you. And you stuck to doing something for Jesus. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, we really respect that. I remember going to Miami and doing concerts in Miami. And I remember Rick Ross, shout out Rick Ross. A lot of people don't know, like 2008, 2007, like Brother Joe, a guy named Joe Matthews. He was a barber to the stars in Miami, but he's also a gospel hip hop promoter. And he would have all these big stars come into his barbershop, and he would always they come in, they be playing Pettidee. And it's like, yo, I'm doing this concert
in the shop.
Yeah. And they'd be like, yo, you got to come to our concert. And the concert would be at churches.
Yeah.
And there's a guy named Kanan Lamb. He goes by Lamb Track. He's like a major producer. He's produced for big people. He's one of Missy Elliott's top producers, but his dad is a pastor. And so we did a concert there. JT Money came. The owner of Slip and Slide came. The owner of a lot of major artists came. Rick Ross came, and they stayed the whole show. And they watched the altar call. They watched, because this is Miami. This is, I don't know if y'all know much about Miami and the ghetto bass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Ghetto style DJs where they had the towers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Where it was hitting so hard, the stuffing from the roof was coming down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
heavy bass.
Yeah, and it was good, man. And that they always just had that love for it, man. So those things came full circle. And I was able to even do ministry with Marquise Ross, brother Marquise from Two Live Crew, when he gave his life to the Lord. And we did ministry together. When Play from Kid and Play gave his life to the Lord, we did ministry together. It was just like full circle.
Yeah, and it all stems from, I've seen it stem from a lot of different things, but a lot of decisions that you made with intention. And the first one that I see that it really started off with was you deciding to put on your suit on that Sunday and go knock on that lady's door and say, I'm ready to go to church with you.
Yeah, I'm ready.
That was intentional. She made the offer, but you had to be the one to step out and do it.
Right.
So everything you've been doing has been done in faith and out of obedience to what you feel was a calling, a natural calling.
And most people stop themselves. They overthink and say, I want to do this, but I can't do this because I don't have this and I don't have that and I don't have this. You have to start with where you are and what you have. What do I have? Well, I'm a writer. I can't even afford beats right now. You know what I'm saying? But I can write. You know what I'm saying? And that you start writing. And then you find it now, technology, you can find a beat for $35 online and drop it and put it out. Yeah. So it's just starting with what you have and stepping out on faith. Exactly.
Yeah. Great word. This is that's part of revisiting your dreams. Everything we're talking about is why we're here. Like everything you're talking about is part of the message. Yeah. But what you just said is like the words revisit your dreams is what he just said.
And I literally had to revisit my dreams because I love the whole aspect of revisiting your dreams, because all of this good stuff I'm talking about came crashing down in 2008. I lost everything.
What happened?
2008, the crash.
Oh, okay.
I had to deal with Sony. Yeah. I was doing big things, nominated for awards, touring, and then the 2008 crash happened. And all the record stores started closing, Best Buys and Coconuts and all of these things. The touring dried up. I was diversified, but just in music. Yeah. I was touring, producing, you know what I'm saying, and doing all that. But when all of that collapsed, I was a full-time record exec and owning my own label and touring. But when all of that crashed in, that was all of my income. Yeah. We lost our home. During that time, I lost my distribution deal because the company that I partnered with closed their doors. Mm-hmm. We were fighting Napster. My business partner, he moved to another city. Everything collapsed. So I went from touring around the world to halfway around the world, doing videos in Africa, to literally being a janitor at YMCA.
That's full circle story though. But
I had to. Oh, go ahead.
No. You go ahead.
I remember mopping the floor, and a guy going, "Hey man, aren't you Pettidee?" A kid. Yeah. And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "What happened to you?" Wow. Yeah. And I said, "Life."
A kid recognized you from music.
People recognized me at the YMCA. Yeah. Mopping the floors and stuff. But I stayed there, and I remember going that particular YMCA. I know you're probably familiar with our local where we at Smyrna. Mm-hmm. They had a nursery as well.
Mm-hmm.
People who can bring them kids to the nursery and go and work out.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the bathroom in the nursery and I just cried. And it was a rough time. It was a rough time. But during that time, God's hand was still on me. Because we are not exempt. And I think what happens is people lose their faith or walk away from God because they're disenfranchised with their walk with Christ or their relationship with God. Mm-hmm. And I think the modern day church sells God as this ATM machine, and that because I'm with God, everything's supposed to be, and that's not true. Yeah. God said He'll be with you through the trials, and I seen God's hand. When we lost the house, there was another friend of mine who was in the industry. He was losing his house at the same time, but he was going to live with somebody else, but he was single. And the Lord spoke to me and said, ask him. His house was a lot smaller. Ask him, could you rent that house? And I was like, man, Lord, that's insult to injury. How am he losing his house? And I'm gonna say, by the way, can we rent the house? You
about to lose.
You about to lose? And then I was like embarrassed. It was like 3 days.
Yeah.
The Lord kept telling me, ask him. And I asked him, and he started crying. I thought it was because he was just feeling so low. He was like, this is an answered prayer. Wow. So he was renting the house from a friend of his that lived in Ohio. Mm-hmm. And he was months behind because it was hitting everybody. He was months behind, and he didn't want to leave the house empty. And he was like, I got a friend. He called the guy. He was like, this is an answer prayer. Mm-hmm. He called the guy, and he said, I got somebody that wants to rent the house. He was like, he's a rapper friend of mine named Pettidee. He was like, the Pettidee, the rapper Pettidee? He's like, yeah. He was like, yeah, tell him he doesn't have me give me a deposit, first month's rent or anything. Just move in.
Wow.
And it was right around the corner from where I was living.
That's dope.
So God's hand was on me and everything. And I decided I was going to quit rap. So that was 2008. So for 2 years, I did no music. And I was like, God, if you want me to do music, you're going to have to knock on my door. You're going to have to literally go out of my way. And some friends of mine invited me to a distribution. There was a release party, and there was a lot of distributors there and stuff. And I was done with music. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to have anything. I went and got a job at Second Harvest Food Bank. I was like, I still want to do ministry, and I work at the food bank. Mm-hmm. I left the janitorial job at it was just too hard. It was emotionally, it was just difficult for people to recognize me. Yeah. And I got on at Second Harvest Food Bank, and nobody knew who I was, and I was good with that. Mm-hmm. 2010, I was at Second Harvest Food Bank, and my supervisor called me, and he was like, I heard what I did was I messed up. I forgot to change my voicemail. Mm-hmm. And he called me and heard the Pettidee, and it's like, man, you do music? I heard your voice. I said, oh man, thank God, I forgot that. Yeah. That's when what's her name took off, Pandora. Mm-hmm. So then he was like, what's your rap name? And I was like, like it's Pettidee. Yeah. So when I said Pettidee, he was typing it in Pandora at the time. He said, oh boy, you big time. I see you on Pandora. I said, oh. Yeah. So then days following that, he would follow me around. Man, y'all don't know we got a superstar in the house, man. This boy rap for God. And then all the other guys started listening to the music, and one of the guys in particular, he was a believer, and he's like, what are you doing here? It's like, you have a calling on your life. Yeah. What are you doing here? You need to be every day. He would be tell me that. Yeah. And I remember getting invited to a listening party, and there were some executives there from a company, an independent company called Integrity Music. But during that time, they had Lecrae, and they had this was before Lecrae got his major deal, and he had just stepped out and started his label and Reach Records and stuff, and they were doing big things at Integrity. And the CEO of Integrity said, Pettidee, man, what are you doing? And I was like, it's like, man, if you ever want to record an album, we'll, I know you got Soldier Sound Records and this and that. Yeah. And we had to close our doors. We had to let all of our artists out of their contracts. I just gave it up. Mm-hmm. And then he said, tell me what your budget would be and what it would look like. I sat down, and he just kept inviting me over and over again. And I gave him a crazy number. Thought it would scare him. Mm-hmm. He was like, yeah, we'll do an album for that. We'll do a distribution for that. And that was 2010 when we did the Race to Nowhere album. Yeah. And it was like, I don't know where I'm going. I know I'm following God, and that's was the album of I'm Following You, and that's what was called Racing Nowhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna start.
You don't know where you're going.
I don't know where I'm going, but I know I'm following Him, and I'm gonna get back to my roots, which is street music, and that's when I came up with the ghetto. Yeah. And everything just took back off again.
That's a man. Like I like hearing that because I didn't know that you had a a record deal like a second time around.
Yeah, second time around.
You know, that happened after the fact. This was after Beat Mark.
Yes.
And this is not attached to Soldier Sound, or was he assigned to Soldier Sound?
This always Soldier Sound because when we got the distribution deal, Beat Mark had their own artists. Okay. So we were the only ones that had a partnership with them that had our own label. Okay. Because I produced the whole album and I produced, you know what I'm saying? And it was Soldier Sound Productions.
Yeah, you brought the whole package on.
Yes. And then we had artists as well. Yeah. So we had Low Profit. We had our own artists and stuff, and so. But then when they closed their doors, that was our inroad to Sony as far as the partnership. It's called a pass-through deal. Yeah. And that's kind of like, if you notice, remember the trifecta was like Rough Riders, Rockefeller, and Murder Inc. Mm-hmm. They were all through Def Jam. Mm-hmm. And Def Jam, that was a pass. Those are partnerships.
Through Def Jam, just to get into that industry.
Yeah.
That's this is still along the music side, just lighten it up a little bit. Yeah. We've been talking some heavy stuff. Yeah. And heavy, but very interesting because like if you into gospel hip hop, if you into gospel music, if you into Pettidee, then you learning something right now. Because I've been knowing this guy for over 20 years. I don't know him better than maybe some other people, but I'm learning some stuff.
A lot of people don't know this stuff. This is first time.
That's dope, man. But all right, so this is just switching gears just a little bit, a little bit lighter note. You talked about performing in churches, and that like Ross and some of the other guys that came actually to a church to see you perform. And I know that you performed in many churches. Give us an idea of the variety of different types of places you perform, and maybe even some places you would like to perform at in the future.
Yeah, I've done arenas, you know what I'm saying, coliseums, you know what I'm saying, and clubs, you know, and I remember there was in the 2000s, there was a huge Christian club scene going on, and now there's starting to be a rebirth of that now. The newer generation, they call them pop-ups, like pop-up clubs. Yeah. And so I love seeing that, where the younger people rent out a venue and then
just throw an event.
Yeah. And so arenas, I did a lot of stuff with Grits, you know, arenas. And
have you performed in other where at in the world have you performed?
Africa. I've performed in Africa. I've performed in Africa multiple times. I performed in South Africa, Johannesburg, Zambia. Zambia is like my second home. I performed there multiple years. Many times they kept bringing me back. Alaska, Anchorage, Alaska. Man,
you've been around, and so in the United States, what are the cities you perform the most in?
Probably everywhere twice. Yeah. But one of my favorites is probably Houston, Texas.
Houston. Okay.
Houston, Texas, LA California would always show me love. Like we would always just go up and down the coast. Mm-hmm. And being a Southern rapper, New York and California is just like that's you want that stamp. You know what I'm saying? Like you want that NY stamp. Like yo, I'm a Southern rapper getting love in New York. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Southern rapper getting love on the West Coast. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. Like you get that. And but I would say Houston, Texas showed me so much love. The Midwest, Louisiana, a lot of military towns. Okay. Because they're huge on music. Yeah. Because they travel a lot. You know, VA, Virginia, show a whole bunch of love. But I would probably say Houston, Texas, Louisiana, Florida, of course, my home team. Yes. Florida, I can just tour just in Florida.
Is there a venue that you would like to perform at?
Seattle
that you've never performed at?
Yes. That any artist, the Garden.
Yeah, Madison
You want to
Square.
do Madison
That's
Square. You hear so much. You hear, I've been always enamored with Madison Square Garden from Run DMC,
Mm-hmm.
doing Madison Square Garden and having everybody hold up their Adidas when they got their Adidas. That's how they got their Adidas deal.
Wow.
Yeah, when the guy was,
did not
they
know
had
that.
never did that before, and right before they had Adidas, they did this on My Adidas. They had everybody take off their shoe.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, bro. I got on Adidas right now.
My
Adidas.
Hey, hold up your Adidas. There it is.
And that's how they got their $1 million deal.
That's dope. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so Madison Square, of course.
Yeah.
I was this close to doing Madison Square.
What happened with it?
There was Creflo Dollar was doing it because he had the church in, of course, Atlanta, and then they had the church in New York, in Times Square, and they had an event in Madison Square. They used to always bring me to Atlanta, but I was trying to lock into that. I was like, "Yo, Madison Square Garden, bro."
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it just didn't pan out to be able to do that event. But I've always wanted to do the House of Blues in LA and Hollywood, and I was able to do the House of Blues.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Well, you were perform a whole set, a whole show?
It was when I was with Grits, and then we did. They let me do something in between their set.
Yeah.
And that's how I was putting my artists on. Is I would do my set and then let them do their something in the middle of the set.
So revisited dreams, like your dream was to perform at House of Blues. You got the opportunity.
I got to perform. Pop was on this stage. I was like,
that's
yo,
dope.
I did it.
Yeah, on that same stage. And then, like I said, what I really enjoy is that you've always never let it stop with you. You've always paid it forward. Yeah. You've always brought somebody else.
You have to, because it's all bigger. It's all bigger than us. Yeah. I remember being in Houston, Texas, at a ranch. And this one in particular, I would always bring my artists and bring people. But this year in particular, I was doing a lot of flying. So that year, I was the only one that went. And it was this huge ranch, big mansion, and it's like an Olympic-sized pool. And then I was swimming in the pool, and then got in the jacuzzi, and I'm just like sitting in the jacuzzi by myself, and I'm like, yeah. Nah. This ain't it, man. Yeah. I ain't never doing this again. It's bigger than me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's by yourself.
Yeah, I mean, going from passing the CDs out in the hood to, I'm in the jacuzzi and then, but I also went out of my way to always make sure that there was a balance. Yeah. So if I was doing a big event, I would also make sure, can you make sure that I go to the juvenile shelter and speak to the young people? Can I make sure I go to the prison, do prison ministry? We were some of the few groups. Shout out to a gospel rapper named Lil Rascal out of Houston, Texas.
Lil Rascal.
LG Wise. He took me on this wing, and we did a lot of prison ministry. And we were one of the few people on. I had a small stint on a record label called Great Tree Records. Shout out to Great Tree Records.
Yeah, Great Tree. A lot of
they got to get their props. Yeah. They got to get their props.
They're like iconic in gospel hip hop.
Huge iconic
foundational.
Label. Yes. They sold millions of records. Yeah. LG Wise took me on a prison tour. We actually went from city to city going to prisons and rapping. You know what I'm saying? And speaking. Yeah. And I had a movie opportunity out of that. There was a group that was on No Limit Records. I don't know if people remember the twins. It was Cain and Abel.
Cain and Abel. I remember Cain and Abel.
Well, one of the brothers, went to prison. Okay. And in the chapel, they only allow you to listen to gospel rap. So when they would go to chapel, after chapel, the warden would allow some of the prisoners to stay in the chapel and listen to gospel rap. And we got to the point where on our label, we would send records to any chaplain that wanted gospel rap, and we would send our music. And the guy emailed me. This was around the Thug Love days and stuff, and he emailed me and said, I got turned on to your music when I was in prison. And I used to get testimonies like that all the time. Yeah. He's like, now I was on No Limit Records, and now I started directing movies. Yeah. And he was like, I would love to fly you to New Orleans, to Louisiana, and to be in one of my films. Wow. Would you be open to it? And I was like, wow, this is crazy. I emailed him back. He was like, man, I got out of prison. I emailed a whole bunch of gospel rappers. You're the only one that hit me back.
Yeah.
And everything, he was true to his word.
Mm-hmm.
He sent me the script. My wife and I learned the script and I rehearsed it and everything. Flew me to Baton Rouge,
Mm-hmm.
where they were shooting the movie. Did my parts. He was so impressed with how easy I knew my lines. They started putting me in other parts of the movie.
Yeah.
And then they flew me back. I was like, man, I think I like this. That's how I got the movie bug. So I've been in about 4 films.
Okay.
And that's how the film stuff, the acting stuff.
Yeah.
So even now, I've done more records than I have movies. But if you Google my name, it comes up as actor.
Yeah, I did.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
I've only done 4 movies.
I went to IMDb and I found you on IMDb.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's a site for actors.
Yeah,
but
and
Pettidee's on
yeah,
there.
it's on there.
Yeah.
And then when come full circle, I did that movie, and then I did about 3 other movies. No, I take that back. It's been 5 movies.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the first one, and then there were 4 since then. When Redbox came out,
Mm-hmm.
they re-released that movie, and it had me on the
cover.
Pettidee featuring Grammy-nominated artist Pettidee.
Yeah.
You know, they had somebody else on the cover and all that kind of stuff. You know, just
because
they repackaged it. But and it was just like Redbox, Walmart,
mm-hmm.
and all of that was playing into. God was showing me that even you drop low because you trust me. All of this stuff was happening at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So the resurgence of the ghetto in 2010 and all, and this movie stuff, TV and film. The movie was coming out. People were saying they're picking up my movies. And I just got that new Pettidee movie. I'm like, yo,
it's a Pettidee movie.
It's a Pettidee movie, yo.
I gotta see that.
This is God. Like I couldn't have put this together.
Yeah.
So those type of things always kept me balanced
mm-hmm.
between the industry and ministry side of it,
mm-hmm.
because that opportunity would not have never happened had I not been doing prison ministry.
Yeah. And had you not just been obedient to begin with, you know, you called the album Thug Love for a reason.
Right. To show the thugs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, that's right in line. You mentioned your wife earlier in the last,
mm-hmm.
answer. Your wife, I know her to have been very instrumental in your work.
Absolutely.
And with your record label and helping to manage your journey and your career. Talk to us about how important that type of support is to you.
It was huge because everything that she did for the record label and for my career was by default.
Mm-hmm.
Because my sound was so different and so aggressive. It was before the distribution deals and all that, when I got my first distribution deal, business-wise, it was so, I couldn't find a manager. Mm-hmm. I couldn't find a booking agent because they didn't know what to do with me, because it was like, I had mainstream relationships, but because I was rapping about God, they didn't know how to market and promote me. And then when I built the relationships in the gospel industry, it was so close to what the world was doing. They didn't, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. They didn't know how to market me. You know what I'm saying? And it was just like, but the phone calls, back then you have the phone number, email. The phone calls just kept coming in for concerts. And then it went from my wife doing it by default and just write it down and helping me to, well, we got papers everywhere. We need a. It started literally with us going and buying a folder, mm-hmm. drawer, a filing cabinet.
Yeah.
So it went from the coffee table to the filing cabinet to, getting the contracts and, what I'm saying? And then it was just like, then she started going on the road with me and then learning the business, and it's just everything was by default. Mm-hmm. So she became the booking agent, she became the manager, what they call a momager.
Yeah.
Momager. Yeah.
So she's essentially music industry executive.
Exactly. Absolutely. And even by the time I got to the Thug Love status, mm-hmm. and we started courting different managers and booking agents, mm-hmm. we would walk out of those meetings like, we could do that. Yeah. Like that. They're not offering us anything because of the percentages that they wanted. Mm-hmm. And then we just kept going. By the time we thought we needed it, but by the time we got to the place where we needed it, mm-hmm. we were already readily available in what we were doing.
Yeah, you was already experienced in it. You're like,
Right.
well, now we don't really have to have it.
We don't have to
We can
have
use it, but
we don't have to have it.
save this money.
And it was a blessing because it was a blessing to start because I was one of the few artists during that time that was I wasn't industry pigeonholed, so I didn't know that there were rules about not bringing your family.
Yeah.
That's my wife. She's my manager. We got 2 kids, and
Exactly.
they're like, and other artists was like, "Yo, you got your family out here, yo?
Yeah.
That's dope. I'm gonna start bringing my family." And this artist was like, "Yo, he brought his family. I'm gonna start bringing my
That's
family."
wrong, man.
And it just kind of snowballed. It was dope, man.
Yeah.
So she's been very instrumental, even to this day. Even I say about 2 weeks ago, I was producing a track for an artist, and I was producing the track, and she came up and she was like, "Hey, man." She was like, "It's got too many hi-hats and it's got this and another." So then I started working on that, and I'm still an artist too, so I still get my little feathers ruffled.
Still getting
But she got an ear too, so I was
Yeah.
just like, "Yo." And then I started working on the track, and it was feeling good. And then she came upstairs, and I looked behind me, and she wasn't saying nothing, but she was jamming. I said, "Okay, that's it.
That's it.
We good."
Yeah, that's dope. So you vibe and feel off of her energy, even if she's not verbalizing anything. You could tell.
When she started dancing, she ain't got nothing to say
Yeah.
now. Yeah. That's it.
It's it. It's a hit,
Mm-hmm.
man. We haven't talked. We talked mostly about your solo career up to this point. We haven't talked yet about your group. You know,
Village
your time
King.
with Village King.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Verbs.
Shout out to Verbs.
But both you and group mate Verbs were like solo artists before. Like he had his own solo career, you had your own solo career. But how did this collaboration of you two coming together? How did that come about? And like, what are your future goals for the group?
Yeah, you got to get Tehran on here because we need to do something called 360 degrees.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? 3 degrees around Tehran Carter.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
this dude, man, he was actually touring with Grits and met Verbs out in Phoenix.
Okay.
In
Where's
late
Verbs
80s.
from originally?
Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay.
And it's cool because Verbs was a teenager and he was raised in the church. The first time he heard gospel rap was the same guy that I got turned on to gospel rap, which is a group called SFC, Soldiers for Christ. They were big out on the West Coast. So they were from LA, and then he was from Phoenix, and they were touring in Phoenix. And he said he remembered they had a concert in somebody's backyard, and he was a teenager. And he got turned on to SFC, and that's how he, but here I am. It was years later. I didn't get turned on to SFC until they blew up. But he met Grits he was in a rap group and got turned on to them and became part of their crew. We call it Factors of the Seven.
Yeah, I remember
Factors
of the Seven. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then when I moved to Nashville, that's how I got connected with Knowdaverbs because he was already in the crew. And then I became part of the Factors, and it was kind of like the Dungeon family.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? And Knowdaverbs was an artist on Goatee Records. This is the crazy part. In 1998, that's a long time. In 1998, my first album came out in 1999, and we got this distribution. The owner of the label, Mo Henderson, that was my first album. We were working on the first album. He came with the Knowdaverbs second album. Knowdaverbs had already had a major album out, you know what I'm saying, on gospel. His first album was 1998, and then 1999. His first album was The Syllabus. His second album was called Action Figure. He brought me the Action Figure album, and I was like, we were listening to it, and we were still working on my first album. So he was already on his second album, and I was like, yo, this dude is amazing. Like one day, following your dreams.
Yeah.
I said, one day I'm going to produce for this guy.
That was back then. You just said that to yourself.
1998.
Yeah.
I said, one day I'm going to do a beat for this guy.
Yeah.
So then my album came out. I produced his album was called Action Figure, and then he had a song of the same title. So I went on my drum machine, the one to run, my first drum machine. I knew I was coming to Nashville. I produced a track, put it on tape as a remix to his song Action Figure. he still has that cassette 20 odd years later. And I said, man, I did this beat for you when I first met Knowdaverbs, and it was on cassette. And I did a remix to his song Action Figure. And we just clicked, and we never really did music. He didn't use it, but he liked it.
Yeah.
And so we just toured, and we always had a brotherhood. So then when I started Soldier Sound Records, I would always include him in something, because this is just an amazing brother. And just a dope, and I always respected him as an MC. Yeah. And, we did the Christmas album on Soldier Sound Records. We did a song called We Three Kings. It was me, Knowdaverbs, and Teron Carter from Griggs. Before that, on the Thug Love album, I had a song called Push. He's on that song. Okay. So every time I asked him to do something, because we do, but we were brothers that just happened to do music together. But we had more of a relationship than music was the bonus. And then Teron moved to Minnesota, and everybody just kind of spread and everything, and life happens, and we would always just stay in contact and just fellowship. So I was kind of missing my brothers. I was missing like the crew. Yeah. And I hit him up just one day, and I was just like, yo, let's get together. It's been years, man. You know what I'm saying? Let's just sit down and see what we're up to. And we just sat down and listened to some music one day, and he played some beats for me. We just fellowship. He played some beats for me, and we started like mumbling over these tracks. And I was like, yo, these beats is dope. And this was, just a few years ago. And I tell this story all the time about Village King, is that I had recorded, and I'll probably let you hear that, later. Doing the TV and film stuff, I always record. So even with the TV and film stuff, even if I don't release it, I still pitch TV and film. Yeah. I had did a rap rock EP, and I was letting him listen to that. And hey, he's telling me what he's been up to, and I'm telling him what I've been up to. He's like, I got these beats, man. I haven't done anything with them. From a producer, he's a Grammy Award-winning producer, and Tone Jones. Shout out to Tone Jones. Yeah. I like Tone Jones. Just dope beats, just dope. And man, he's got a great heart
really
for
good.
God.
Yeah, really
and he's
I don't know him personally. I've only seen him online, but I've been tuned in.
Love the
dude.
Lord.
Yes.
Great brother, immaculate producer.
Yeah.
He's just playing me these Tone Jones beats, and I'm just like blown away. But then what happened was, for unexpected for both of us, I started getting these ideas, because as a producer, you can hear a dope beat. If it don't speak to you, you just don't get it. It's just a dope beat.
It's still dope.
But if it starts speaking to you, you're like, yo, where's my phone?
Right away.
Where's my man? These beats was just like speaking to me. And he was like, put it down. So he's like, let me record that. We started doing, we artists, so we know mumble tracks. Yeah. We started getting that mumble track going and the hook
the cadence and the vibe, right?
And he was like, yo, I started rapping these mumble tracks and getting the hooks going, and these tracks were speaking to us. And he was like, I was like, put another one on. And he was rapping, and then I was rapping, and he was rapping.
Yeah, we really just building ideas at this point.
Yo, this was nothing like this wasn't Big Village King. Yeah. This was, yo, let's do something together. Let me let you hear these tracks. And I told him, I said, man, I haven't felt like this since I was 14 years old. Wow. I said, I haven't felt this feeling. Yeah. Because at that time, I was like, man, I just don't really feel like I've done everything at this level. I've done everything. And I don't want to do anything unless it means something. And this felt like it meant something. I was like, yo, because he don't like me to say this, but I say it all the time because it's true. Like him and Grits, like him and Teron, like I'm rapping with one of my idols. Like I've always wanted to work with this dude. I'm a fan. Yeah. So here I am, like, yo, I'm rapping with one of my favorite rappers. Like, it's crazy. And I felt that 14-year-old like back in the day. And he burnt it down for me. And I called him. That was on a Friday, and then that following Friday, I called him and I was like, yo, I've been listening to these mumble tracks all week. It feels like something. Yeah. He's like, I feel the same way. And I was like, yo, I'm not into doing it, because during that time everybody was doing collab album, where two solo artists would get together and just do a collab, and then kind of go back. I said, I'm not into this collab thing right now. this makes me want to do music again. And I was like, even Jesus sent the disciples out 2 by 2. Biblically, there's power in 2. You so many scriptures. One can set 1,000 to flight.
Yep.
One can set 10,000. Jesus sent the disciples out 2 by 2. You know what I'm saying? There's power in 2. And I was like, man, this feels like a group. Like I need my brother.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And we've always been talking about doing something together. And I was like, you're completely okay to turn that down. He's like, no, I'm feeling the same way. Let's do something. But he was like, the one caveat was, let's keep it a secret just in case life happens and it don't pan out. It don't pan out and it don't materialize. Because, you know, as artists, we don't want, hey, man, whatever happened to that idea?
Village King.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I agreed to it. And we started recording, and then it just started. But we went back old school, though. We wasn't doing stuff where we just was doing beats back and forth. We would literally have sessions.
And be in the same space at the same
We got
time.
footage where we would just record, put on a video camera, and have the beat looping and writing. And that's how Village King came about. Our group first, you gotta interview him because he's historically from a family that was some of the original black people that migrated to the West Coast. The freedmen's.
Okay.
The Warriors.
So yeah,
Freedom Town. He's from that legacy.
Okay.
And it was really called the Afro Frontier, where they went out West Coast and started their own towns. And that was going to be our name, Afro Frontier. But it was already, somebody had already copyrighted it, formed it and everything. And that was when everybody started calling each other King. What's up, King? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The affirmations of King. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? A lot of people call themselves King, but you got to be king of yourself first.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And master yourself first and master your own village. You know what I'm saying? And be a king of your own village first. You know what I'm saying? And I came up with the name Village King. Like being the king of myself and being the king of my own village, but following the King of Kings. Because I'm the king of my village, he's the king of his village, and we follow the King of Kings. We took the I out of it. Like they said there's no I in team.
No I
we said there's no I in king.
That's dope. Now, I noticed that there is no I in King. Yes. I never even thought to ask why, but I'm glad that you brought that up.
That's why it's called Village KNG. Village King.
A lot of thought behind it, but it really felt like it didn't have to have a lot of thought behind it. That's just a natural response to reverence to
exactly.
God, basically.
Yeah. And there's no leader in the group.
Yeah.
So I'm saying there's no leader in the group. He specializes in some amazing things.
I'm just like, no I in team. I like that.
Yeah. And the things that he specialized in, I'm amazed at. And then vice versa.
And then you guys bring it together.
Yeah.
What are some of the goals for the future of the group? What are you guys planning on doing? I know you guys have released several singles and an EP.
Yeah.
Released some dope merch.
Yeah, man.
I mean, shout out to
Village King Harriet Tubman.
Tubman, some dope merch. This is one of the best hoodies I own. You gotta
shout out Verbs.
We're gonna put the link down in the description so y'all can get you one.
That boy a mastermind, man.
Let me show y'all the back real quick.
Yeah.
Y'all see
Can you see that's Know the Verbs, man. That's Know the Verbs. Village King, Soldier Sound Records.
And Tone Jones.
Oh yeah, Tone Jones. Yeah. Boy.
Gotta unplug this.
No, you good.
Plug the headphones. Yeah. Just wanted to show y'all that.
No, man.
That's dope, Verbs. Dope design. I love this hoodie.
We're not putting a lot of pressure, just to answer that question, we're not putting pressure on ourselves. We're at a position now where we're in the cruising altitude where we're two, mature men that love the industry and that love and that we have an experience. And there's a certain level of quality that our fans and that the people that follow us expect from us. There's a certain level of quality that we expect from ourselves. And we're not putting a timestamp or a date on it. We're just going for it. Yeah. We're going for it. We're just dropping music. We back off of it. We're dropping music. We back off of it. We're doing things at a
make it organic and natural feeling. No
absolutely,
pressure, no pushing, no deadline. Not trying to set hard deadlines.
Yeah, but it's not so freestyle till it's out of order.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It don't feel like it's out of order. It doesn't feel like it's out of order. It definitely feels purposeful.
Yeah.
It definitely feels intentful, but it also feels organic. Like it doesn't feel forced.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like you guys trying to push something on somebody. It's like, hey, this is what we doing. We'll let y'all know when we do the next thing.
Yeah, we just did a song